So first and foremost, I want to thank SNS for inviting us today and partnering with the Office of Small Business, the OSDBU office. I am originally from DOD, so I normally say Office of Small Business Programs, but we are the Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization. So I've been there roughly about 11 months now, and it has been a very interesting ride. So I hope everybody has enjoyed today's event because today was our first opportunity to partner with SNS and really try to show the power of small business. So what I would like to do real quick before I get started, raise your hand if you're a small business. So SNS folks, I want y'all to look back there. There's a lot of hands up there. There you go, put your hands down. Okay, how many of y'all large businesses are out here today? Raise your hand. What I want y'all to do is the large businesses stand up real quick. Large businesses stand up. Okay, so small businesses, y'all see who y'all need to talk to today. And before you walk out of here today, you need to get their cards. Okay? Because there's some important things we'll talk about here in a little bit about what they do and how, we're really trying to bridge that gap and really try to get that partnership between smalls, larges, and the department. So as I said, we'll talk about a couple of things. So that was the first thing I wanted to say is, so everybody knows who's everybody. So is the program managers in here from SNS? How many of those are here today? We got a couple of them. Raise your hand. Okay, a couple of them. All right, got it. Y'all should stand up so y'all can actually see who the program managers are, because those are the folks, since I've been here, they're really influencing a lot of the decisions on the acquisitions. Okay, so I want y'all to know that. They laughing, see, I know. It's good to meet y'all because I really want to get to see y'all soon. So I will tell you, it has been truly a great opportunity to be here and partner with the SNS folks on this event. Where was that lady who had that question about where do you go? She left. Okay. Well, I'm going to give her the answer. If she was a small business, you have a small business specialist in Asper. Okay. She is responsible for connecting you with the program folks, the contracting folks, the vehicle that we use in a sense. I'm sorry, I almost hit the mic. The vehicle that we use is the small business customer experience. So quick question, who is registered in SBCX? Raise your hand. Okay, not a lot of y'all. So before you leave today, there are some folks back there in the back who will help you get registered in our SBCX, which that is our system that we're using for the department. And we'll talk about that here in a second, to really help bring forecasting to the department. So with that being said, we'll go ahead on to get started. Here's the agenda. We'll talk about some policy stuff, because I want to lay the groundwork for why we're doing what we're doing as an OSDBU. We'll talk about a little bit of data, because I think data is important in how we drive some of the decisions that we're going to make for the future and how we move forward in FY23. And then we'll talk about some of the strategic things that we're going to be working to really help reduce the barriers, bring more opportunities to our small businesses, as well as bring more assistance and help to you. Mission statement. This is a brand new mission statement. You guys are the first people to see it. And I'm really proud of it, because what we did was we really tried to get down to the roots of it. And one of the things, our sole goal is to ensure we maximize small business across the HHS portfolio. Not just SNS, we got a whole bunch, CDC, FDA. That is our responsibility to do that. And I think that is going to be our new charge in how we move forward. And then one of the things I realized when I took over this job is I went from taking care of the warfighter as the director at DOD, now taking care of the American people. So it's a different field, because now when you look at it, I was thinking about what David had on one of his slides about that anthrax. You know, when I was in DOD, you know, all the soldiers, when I was a military guy, we had to get the anthrax vaccine shot. And I was like, man, I saw that up and it was at the top of the list too. Whew. Back and it gave me a little flashbacks, but it was a good deal, you know. And then here's our new vision statement. And again, it really, you know, we learned some things through the COVID, but we need to help make more resilient small businesses to be able to withstand if we go through another pandemic. Because I will tell you, with some of the things that are transpiring in our federal government, and the increase of small business requirements for the federal government, we got to have strong small businesses that can withstand and get through another pandemic if that was the case. Because I can give you a little bit of history real quick. So when the pandemic started, I was in DOD. It took roughly 60 days for the federal government to do something. I counted it, I watched it. We were losing small business by the day. But until we got the PPP loans, until we started to really try to get our feet on the ground, it really took the federal government about 60 days. So what that told me is that, hey, listen, we need to ensure our small businesses at least can sustain for 60 days. And that's some of the stuff that you got to start looking at. When you start winning contracts, you got to start putting that money aside to ensure for those rainy days, because again, what we were doing, you know, they were giving advance payments. A lot of policies came out real quick to try to infuse money into contractors. But some of that money went to large primes. Didn't get all the way down to our smalls. And especially if you're a sub and you're a sub to a large and he has you on a net 30, net 60, net 90, there's some challenges right there already. So again, we learned some things with that, and one of my goals is really to try to help grow those industrial base through training, just ensuring you build that infrastructure is nice and solid for your company to withstand the next pandemic. So these 4 documents right here, I tell you, the first one Vivian talked about earlier, but I will tell you these last 3 right here are probably the key documents that you should be looking at or know about. First one, Executive Order 1395. It really started the foundation for the federal government to advance procurement, diversity, inclusion, and all those good things. Second one, OMB Memo 22-03. That really, in my mind, built the structure. Because what it did was it forced the federal government to start to make some different decisions. It actually charged us to do some things. One, really publicize our forecasts, ensuring to help reduce those barriers for our industry partners. Second thing it did was really it made small business a requirement for everybody. Before, when in the federal government, when you make it important in the leadership, it grows throughout the whole organization. So when they put the mandatory goals into our senior executive performance, everybody calls me now. Everybody want to talk, because now you're charged. It used to be the OSDBU's director responsibility. Now it's everybody's responsibility. So now this is the starting process of our relationship with SNS and bringing our industrial base here together today to really show them that we have that industrial base that can actually make an impact. Because I've seen it in the past. So let me just be real straightforward, is that, you know, small businesses did a heck of a lot during the COVID. I got the data. Okay, I got the data, I saw it. So now we got to keep building on that and how we do that. The other thing that OMB memo talked about was the increase in the small business, small disadvantaged business goal. We went from 5% to 11%, and this year we're at 12%. What does that mean? That's dollars. Y'all should be clapping. You know, and what that means is, what does that mean? That is increase in funding that has to go to SDBs. And, I'm a little bit sad because, this year, I got here at the time we were negotiating these goals. And last year we settled for a 13.08% goal. The verdict is still out. The numbers are still tallying because, again, they cut off at the 30 September, but we really don't know after all the systems are cleaned and everything goes through. We really won't know the actual impact until February timeframe. But how we ended as a department against the 13% goal, we had 11.37. So that means I didn't make my SDB goal. Okay, so that means I'm down a couple points. Okay, but what that means is that we got a lot of work to do. We can't get there, we got to figure out how to get there. The next thing that the OMB memo did was they put a statement in there talking about strengthen the oversight on subcontract plans and goals. Large primes, raise your hand. Y'all hear that right? Strengthen the oversight on subcontract plans and goals. So we're gonna talk about that just a little bit. So what we've done as a department when I got here to really try to get that started was, before we do anything, we gotta train the folks. So we started our initiation with trying to train the organization. We're starting to do it now, even in FY23, to get the organization structured, or at least have that education in how to really apply those subcontracting plans and ensure that we maximize small business in those opportunities. And then really the third part of it is holding them accountable. Because remember, at the end of the year, every CPARS, or when you get your CPARS rating, there is a section in there that talks about subcontracting. Did you or did you not do your subcontracting? And we as a federal government have to hold our large primes accountable. So, for my large primes, haven't got to y'all yet because I've been really focusing on my smalls and meeting those numbers, but we're gonna do it in 3 phases. It's a partnership. We got the industrial base has to be there for you to be able to do what you have to do to meet your goals, but you got to see them. Some of them are sitting right here in this audience today. So surely I know that there's contractors out there that are looking for opportunities to partner. Equity plan, that was the department's answer to the executive order and then the OMB memo, and then the executive, and then the HHS equity plan was really what we were going to do as a department. So there's a lot of things that came out of that, but which was great. But one of the things that I think has been game changing for us in our office is the utilization of our small business customer experience portal. That is the house of all the requirements that we have within the department that potentially have opportunities to go to small business. So right now there's over 6,000 some odd requirements in there. Okay, so if you are not in that SBCX, recommend you take some time. There's some specialists out there to help you get inside that portal. And then what you need to do is start lining up, doing what I've always told everybody, do your homework first, because you gotta know who you wanna be with, know where your products align with. And then from that, then that's who you target to meet and talk to about your capabilities that you have, that you believe that you can bring to the American people. Okay, just a couple data slides. We've averaged 9.4 billion last couple of years. I think we will get to a steady state. Don't know how it's gonna really shape out, just because when I just heard David's budget, and then I'm thinking about, roughly what I'm getting gold against, almost a $41 billion budget. And it's really not gonna be like that because we don't know what the president's budget is gonna turn out, because we put that budget submission in, and then they start cutting and slicing, and then we get what we get, and then there's other things that has to be paid. But at the end of the year, even this year, we did spend about roughly 9.3, 9.2, but again, just as I stated before, don't quote me on those numbers because the tallies are still going behind the curtain until February when we get our actuals of what we actually achieved. So here's what I'm actually excited about. Doesn't look good now, but let me tell you something. This year, when I did get here, we started doing targeted outreach events. We started to participate in the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned. And this year, against a 3% goal, we achieved 2%, 2.03%. So that was an increase, almost a 54%, a 0.54% increase from the last four previous years. So I'm happy about that. So we're targeting our Service Disabled Veteran-Owned this year. We're going to continue that relationship because I'm a military guy. I do have a Navy SEAL in here. I'm a Ranger. I am going to ensure that we reach that goal because I believe our veterans do a heck of a lot for the department and for the federal government. All right. HubZone, again, HubZone is always going to be a challenge. But I will tell you like this year we did have some improvement, which is about 2.24% higher than the previous 2 years. So I'm really happy about that. You know, we have partnered with those associations to really try to drive that change. Next slide. Another one. Here's one that we're going to start trying to target. We have to change that dynamic because simplified acquisition is really designated for small business, set aside. And I need to change that numbers right there to get it where small businesses are getting more work. But this is something that we have to, as a department-wide, really try to target those opportunities. And a lot of those opportunities are in that SBCX system. So now you can see, and then it's us, our relationship with our program offices working to really identify where we can really maximize those small businesses within inside of the department. So David actually had this, so I made this slide last night just so y'all could see, here are the areas. So if you didn't get anything from today, you at least know some of the areas that they're looking for. And if you haven't had a chance to, tie those associated next codes to those things. And then from that, that's how you drive where you need to go and where you're going to be able to fit into that industrial base. Because at the end of the day, it's about us growing our industrial base for the next pandemic or the next challenge or the next issue or the next situation that the American people go through. So 23 priorities. A lot of them, some of them are the same from last year. We have started to look at some of them, but a couple critical ones, again, we are going to stay focused on, I meet with the Deputy Secretary quarterly, and she drives the point in the executive order. What are you doing with the executive order? How are we trying to grow our industrial base? So again, executive order is going to be our priority. Hands down, we're still executing a lot of those tenets in it. Another one of our priorities, main priorities, really trying to build that resilient small business industrial base. Through education, through training, through opportunities, it is going to be how we grow our industrial base. The next thing is what I'm really proud of is, before I get to that one, strengthening our subcontracts with our large primes. One of the things I talked to you about, we're going to do it in 3 phases. We've already started the first phase. Second phase is doing the analysis and then really doing a roundtable discussion with our large primes to see where their pain points are at. Because I got to know what their problems are before I can say, okay, small business, this is how we work with inside of that to really help them. Because again, when they do those contracts, they are sitting there saying that they are going to subcontract down to our small primes. And then if they don't, we need to make sure why not? I know we got FAR clauses in there, good faith efforts and all that good stuff. But listen, if there's small businesses in those particular areas, we got to try to maximize them. And these events are where we are trying to integrate or at least have that relationship. Just like I said before at the beginning, small businesses, if you don't get 3 cards from those people I told to stand up, your fault. Your fault. If you don't talk to any one of these people here today, your fault. Because this is a relationship thing. Because I'm hard on y'all too. I'm going to be hard on you because we're going to win, all of win together. But the other thing I'm really proud of is our initiative with HBCUs, historically black colleges, universities, minority institutions. So we charted a path where we're working with our NIH partner to really try to bring that those universities into our industrial base, because I think they add a lot of value. Okay, I see where their value is. I know they have challenges. I'm not going to walk away from the challenges, but we have to figure out how can we get them into our industrial base. Somewhat in the research and the development side, somewhat one of the things we did when I first got here. I'm actually going to Chicago next week. One of the small businesses had an opportunity to use interns in her company to help one of NIH's programs. So what we've done is now it becomes a funnel from the small business to bring a student or intern into working on a project in the public health sector. So what that does, how does that benefit us? Potential opportunity for that student to be a government employee, work in the industry, or go back into academia and then have his 3 routes. But he or she has that opportunity to get real world experience and learning about what we do. And who better to hire them? So really proud of that, and I think we're going to really try to capitalize on some of the momentum this year. We got 2 universities that participated. We're going to try to grow that with NIH. So I'm really proud of that initiative. So last thing, so if you don't remember anything, I normally say GPS. GPS is our new logo now, our new tagline. So if you're ever on a virtual call with me and I tell you anybody who can get GPS, you get a one-on-one with me and I help you build your presentation. Okay, so what that means, growth in our industrial base, growth in our partnerships, external, internal, because it's going to be critical, because that's that relationship that we have to build to ensure we grow the folks that we need. And then those strategic partnerships, those are with our industrial base, our associations, and all the other partners that we need in order to help and meet the mission for the American people. When I say predictability, that's critical. Resources. Resources are considered industrial-based industry days, training. Last year I was really happy that we had a training event, over 3,000 participants last year in a virtual event. Huge. And then we had a lot of matchmaking going on as well. So there was opportunities. So those are the resources that we have to bring to you. Okay. And then really what I mean by accuracy. Accurate acquisition forecast. This is our responsibility to ensure that our team, we're working together with our program folks, contracting officers, to ensure we have the most accurate information that we're putting out to our industrial base. Because it's not good if it's not accurate. It's not good because it doesn't help you plan. It doesn't help you. It doesn't reduce the barriers. It doesn't give you an opportunity to partner with somebody to go after a particular opportunity. So we got to be better at accuracy of that forecast. And then when you talk about that synchronization, I think that's critical. The partnerships that we have with our external and internal partners inside of HHS, as well as our industrial base, that partnership is critical. Because in order to achieve growth in any organization, it's a partnership. And then accountability, I will always tell you this, accountability is those documents that we have that's governing what we're doing, those 4 documents I talked about earlier, and then that accountability of us doing what we as a government organization is supposed to do to try to help grow our industrial base. Now, we don't get it right all the time. Everything can't go to small businesses. I know that. But what can go to small business, we're trying to maximize that, and that is our responsibility to do that. Okay. All right, I always leave with a quote. So again, David, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come here today. It is truly a pleasure to meet each and every one of you. But again, if you're not registered in SBCX, please do that today and get your profile updated the best you can, because that sets you aside from everybody else. Okay, thank you.